All right. All right, everyone, welcome. My name is Carla, and
I'm Philip.
we're the founders of the 52 Hike Challenge, and we're really thrilled to bring to you today Hiking 101, which is sponsored by REI and TechNew. So we really want to thank them for supporting our mission and inspiring us to continue to do this really important work. So welcome, everyone. So we're going to talk a little bit about our agenda so we know what to expect in today's meeting. And so you guys can write down some notes. At the end of the conversation, we absolutely want to take your questions. So we're going to use the chat box to take your questions, and then we'll be answering them at the end of the presentation. So first, we're going to talk about the 52 Hike Challenge, what it is, how it got started, some of the benefits of hiking, what you need to get started, the 10 essentials, clothing, footwear, day packs, other essentials, some of our tips, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the resources we have available. So with that, I'm going to let Philip start the presentation and tell you a little bit about his story.
All right, so back in 2001, 2002 is when I kind of decided I wanted to take on a New Year's resolution and change my life. And as you can tell, I was quite a heavy set person, and I was someone who wasn't really an outdoorsy person at all. I was actually a foodie. I really liked eating, and that was my main hobby. And to be honest with you, I was actually quite ashamed of my weight. I really didn't enjoy being heavy. It's always fun to eat, but it's not fun to look at your belly kind of growing. And I had a lot of friends with unhealthy habits, and I'm going to say that because I really didn't have any athletic friends or people to kind of influence me into this new way of being. And that's going to be kind of important as we move forward, because I also believe in surrounding yourself with people who have been there, done that, and also who have enjoyed getting outdoors and being fit. So with that, these are some photos of the different phases. It took me 2 years to lose 80 pounds. And as you can see in the progress, you can see the belly starting to shrink. And as I got lighter, I felt like there was this weight, this backpack full of weight that just kind of melted off me. And with that weight that was melting off me, I felt much stronger. And I just felt like it was like I was working out all my life, and I was able to release that weight. And with that, I had muscles under there. And I started pushing myself higher and harder. And just going from small hikes to bigger mountains. Mount Rainier is a really big mountain. It's a pretty stout mountain up in Washington. Pico de Orizaba is one of the highest mountains in Mexico, and Aconcagua is the highest mountain on the Western Hemisphere in Argentina. And these were accomplishments that I felt I needed to do, or I wanted to do, to prove to myself that I could do it. And it took some time. I never in a million years thought that I would be in this kind of position, but that's kind of my story. And let me hand it over to Carla.
Yeah, so back in 2009, I was, this is one of the first times I had been to a national park. And I remember looking down into the Grand Canyon and thinking to myself, wow, I wish I could go down there. I'm actually wearing Uggs in that picture. So I was the person who drove up to the outlooks, took a look, walked a little bit, and daydreamed, right? And so at this time, I felt like I couldn't do this. I couldn't just take off and go. I was not feeling good about myself. At the time when I started my journey, I was actually going through a divorce. And so of course, when you're going through something like that, you're questioning everything. You're questioning your own life. I didn't feel confident. I felt not good enough. And so fast forward to 2012, after Philip and I had met, he inspired me through his story to start hiking. And so we went for a hike in Santa Barbara to Inspiration Point, and I remember that we got to the outlook, and I felt good for the first time in a really long time. It had been at least a year. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, like I want to feel this again. I want to feel good. I want to feel like there's something more than just, you know, feeling down on myself. And so in 2012, I set a New Year's resolution to hike once a week for a year. And so that kind of started this journey of getting outdoors. And so I thought to myself, well, this is a great opportunity to explore places and to continue feeling really good about my life, because I didn't want to continue being in a depression anymore. So this is one of the photos from one of the first 52 hikes that I did. And basically from there, as I started taking this journey, and with Philip by my side, thankfully, we started, you know, doing little hikes, and those little hikes turned into bigger hikes. And eventually I was able to do things like Half Dome. We did Mount San Gorgonio, which is one of the tallest mountains in Southern California. And really through that journey, it was so transformative that I had healed a lot of my pain. And we decided after I did 52 hikes, I wanted to do Mount Whitney. And so we did this mountain, and it felt like such a big accomplishment to go from not believing in myself to taking and realizing that I always had everything within myself. And hiking was the vehicle for me that made me find my own self again, and my own confidence and my empowerment. And so when we finished Mount Whitney, I felt really compelled to share these two stories. And that is how 52 Hikes was born. And since then, as Philip mentioned in his journey, right, he started and he has climbed some of the highest peaks. And for me, I've also been blessed to climb some of those high peaks, but now I was also able to recently complete the John Muir Trail, which was on my bucket list for years. And so 52 Hike Challenge is that vehicle to help you start from the basics, which this class is all about, to hopefully fulfilling yourself and finding your own personal summit, whatever that may be for you. So as we mentioned, you know, going from all of these different transitions and learning and growing through the outdoors, we've been able to achieve a lot, and that's what we wish for you guys. And so when we decided to share this at the end of 2012, we didn't realize what was going to happen. It became a worldwide movement with people joining us all around the world. We've hosted hikes all around the US. We've spoken at many different conferences, and we've been sharing what we call our hiking secret with people, and getting as many people outside and trying to do our best to educate people on how to hike, you know, how to get out and hike, but do it in a really safe way. So we've grown a lot. We've had over 50,000 participants, and thank you guys for being a part of this movement. So it's our mission to empower you to get outdoors, to gain the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through nature and the outdoors. And how do we do that? Through hiking 52 times in a year. Some of you guys may be able to get through this challenge much faster than others, and some of us are going to take it a little slower. And that's okay. We all need to take our time and do what's best for each and every one of us. So obviously, we definitely know that science proves hiking is absolutely beneficial in our lives. I don't know about you guys, but with coronavirus times, I think that was the only place that I found peace in such an uncertain world. And, you know, science shows that, you know, being outdoors boosts your mood. It actually helps to relieve stress and anxiety. And can you believe that if you disconnect for 3 days, it's actually scientifically proven, 3 days outside, and your creativity can increase by 50%. So for anyone who needs those creative juices, whether you're in advertising or maybe you have a job that requires you to create different projects and products, being outside in nature really opens you up to other possibilities. So other things, obviously, it's so good for your cardiovascular health. You know, it's absolutely shown to help with diabetes prevention, and it helps to keep your muscles and your bones stronger. So walking is such a wonderful way to do that.
So what do you need to get started? All right, let's talk about the 10 essentials. The 10 essentials, you can easily Google this. We actually grabbed this from REI, and they are the navigation piece, which is a mapping compass, sun protection, sunglasses, and sunscreen, extra clothing layers, a headlamp or some sort of a flashlight, first aid supplies. I tend to like to bring some Band-Aids in case of blisters, and also some fire in case of emergency. Again, these are things that they're called essentials because each of these elements cannot be created on their own. They have to be used individually. And so a repair kit, you know, a lot of people use Leatherman or some sort of multifunctional tool, repair kit and tools. Extra food is really important as well, because there could be a situation where you might take the wrong trail back, or maybe end up having to stay the night, and you need the extra food, as well as extra water. Water is very important. We can go without food, but without water for very long is you know, a dire situation. And of course, emergency shelter. Sometimes they have these foldable silver blankets, space blankets, but then that could also include like a tent or a garbage bag.
And also, I do want to say a couple of things while we're on the 10 essentials. So absolutely always carry them with you. One of the most important things. Remember, one really big thing we want to talk about is fire. Do not start a fire unless it is absolutely a life or death situation. In California, we've had so many problems, especially this last year with fires that could have been prevented. So these are items that you need to have for a backup plan, like Philip said. And you always want to be over prepared rather than under prepared. So even though it may seem like overkill, you'll be thankful that you have these items in case the worst case scenario happens.
Yeah, and the mapping compass, I would really advocate getting a physical map, a paper map, just because, you know, our phones could die, they could fall out of our hands and the screen breaks. You really don't want to rely on electronics only. So definitely bring in a paper map.
So we're going to move on into clothing, which here I have set or laid out some different pieces that I recommend for women. And this is more, you know, when you're getting started, it's okay to get started in what you have. Whatever you do, try not to wear cotton. That's the first thing we're going to say. Try to wear moisture wicking clothing. It's okay if you want to wear your yoga pants, ladies, but as you continue your journey, and if you're going to do some of these mountains and peaks and things of that sort, you will want to get some kind of convertible pant like this, especially because sometimes you come across bushes and things like that. I've noticed with like the yoga pants, it's too easy to like brush against something and actually prick yourself, where these types of pants, it's like you brush through something and like nothing happens. And then also like this type of shirt is really great for sun protection, and you can roll it up. A lot of times these shirts also have SPF in them, so it's really great. For socks too, as you continue your journey, you're going to want to go with something that's thicker, like a wool sock, that's going to help to give you more cushion and prevent blisters. And then I have a rain jacket here. We always recommend you carry a rain jacket with your 10 essentials in case of any emergencies. That's such a great shell to ensure you stay warm. But yes, as you're getting started, we want to encourage you to put on your moisture wicking items, and then to and by the way, real quick, hold your questions until the end, write them down. We're going to answer all questions at the end. So yeah, we recommend moisture wicking clothing to get started, and good shoes, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Philip is going to quickly talk about some of the men's items here that we also are showcasing.
Yeah, so very similar to the items that Carla likes. You know, I also like these zip-off pants. They can convert into shorts. I like to actually open them up a little bit, like about a quarter of the way, to kind of provide some ventilation and let some heat out. And of course, I can take them off all the way for if it is too warm. The socks are really important. Again, you know, as Carla mentioned, no cotton, because cotton will retain the moisture. And if you retain the moisture and you have friction in your footwear, like your shoes, that's what's going to create the blisters. It is the heat and the moisture that's going to create the blisters. So you can get a synthetic sock. Smart Wool is a brand out there that is well known, and your local REI will have lots of different socks to choose from, as well as experts there that can help you. I personally like the shirt that you can roll up as well. It kind of converts into like a short sleeve shirt, and it usually has an SPF of like 50. So it's really, really good for the sun. And of course, a jacket. And I really like the jackets that have the pit zips. So you can unzip them underneath your armpits and allow a lot of ventilation. So a lot of people want to know, do I bring like a heavy jacket or something like that? And actually, you don't need necessarily one heavy piece. Unless you're doing something very technical, which is not in this course. But for the most part, we advocate layering. And just as you can see in this picture, you'll see this gentleman has, looks like actually a couple shirts. He has looks like something blue underneath. He has, that was what we would call like a base layer. And the black one looks like a mid layer. And then he has this red one, which is kind of like this, it is a fleece jacket, so you can actually keep warm there. And then he has some sort of puffy jacket. Again, it's not a really big overkill jacket, it's just the layers. And the layers are really great because, and when they're breathable, it actually transports the moisture all the way out to the outer layers. So it wicks away that sweat from your body. And the sweat, again, this is why we don't want cotton. When you have the wet cotton next to your body, it actually makes you cold. And you don't want to be cold, you want to be comfortable. And so it sweats out. So I notice whenever I have like 3 layers, it seems to be like maybe the middle layer or the outer layer will get wet, but usually the base layer is fairly dry. And I say fairly because it depends on your activity level.
I also want to add on to the base layers. It also depends on where you live and the weather, right? So if you're in the snow, you're going to need more than less. So you might need to wear base layer pants, and then you'll have your pants and your outer shell, which might be something that is waterproof. So mind you, we're starting with like hiking 101, getting started. So again, these situations or these recommendations, you may need to add more depending on if you're hiking somewhere that's really cold, or maybe if you're hiking somewhere that's really hot, you're not going to want to bring as many layers, but you still should absolutely always have a shell, because you never know. There's times where you could be hiking in the desert and at night it will literally get down to the 30s. So you always want to have the prep, like these items in your pack in case you do need to get warm later on in your hike. So again, considerations: hats, beanies, gloves, you know, even the underwear you wear, right? Like moisture wicking underwear. We really like ex officio. And then for the ladies, I would definitely recommend getting like a good sports bra that's moisture wicking instead of wearing like that thick, heavy bra. So I think those are the basics of clothing that we recommend. But don't be afraid, again, if you don't have these specific model type of items that you see this guy wearing, that's okay. You can bring what you have, but try sticking to those moisture wicking items.
I think it's probably a good thing to mention at this moment. When I first started out hiking, I got things from like Big Five and other sporting equipment places, but they weren't really, and I always felt like REI was a little expensive. But I want to tell you something, it was worth it because REI has a great customer service. Right now at this moment, if you're not happy with something, they have like a 1-year satisfaction policy. And the clothing that they happen to represent and some of the brands that they sell are all very good quality. I actually have some of the items still to this day, and I would say that most items last a good 10 or more years. So feel free to, even though the underwear is like $25 each, it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend it. It's really wonderful.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to footwear. I personally like trail runners, and the rule of thumb with footwear is that if you're carrying something like less than 30 pounds, you can get away with trail runners. You usually want to have more ankle support. If you're doing something that's, maybe a little more rocky, and generally speaking, those boots might actually have like a shank, so that way it protects you from all those rocks. But if you're going on a local trail, and for those people who are just starting out and beginning, I would highly recommend the trail runners, and that's like this Solomon shoe that you can kind of see in the middle too. The Vask on the bottom right is actually a very lightweight hiking boot, and that's still a good one as well. And actually, all of them are pretty good shoes, but I just wanted to let you know you don't need boots. And if you do happen to get into backpacking, that's when you would actually use a boot. Or maybe if you're going up something harder, I would not really recommend a boot until later in your 52 hikes or later as you get more advanced.
I want to add on to the hiking boots that it also is going to depend upon your own ankle strength, right? Some of us need the support more than others. I know that for me, I tend to twist my ankle a lot easier. So you do need to kind of look at your own, as you start getting out there, we're gonna get into this, but like we're gonna recommend you start with like 1 or 2 mile hikes, maybe 3. And you're gonna see how your feet are doing, and you're gonna know if you're gonna need something with a bit more support. But definitely one of the most important things is make sure you have good traction. I see so many people on the trails with these flat sneakers, and then when you're going downhill, it's so easy to slip and fall on your bum. So we don't want you to fall. So whatever you do, please have good traction, and the rest will, be fine. And as Philip said, as you continue in your journey, then you start making those investments. So don't be afraid to just start getting out there and have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, the local expert at the store will be able to advise you a little bit on the shoe fitting. General rules, no more than like a 1/4 inch, a wiggle room in the back. So, you should have some room for your foot to kind of slide forward. Generally speaking, I like to bang my toes and make sure that my toes are not hitting the front, but also that my heel is not lifting out of the shoe. So I kind of want to lift that 1/4 inch so that it can allow for that movement, but not too much where I'm actually banging my toenails and getting black toenails. Usually you don't have to worry about this too much, again, with the trail runners. And anyway, I think that you're going to be much better off. And boots, just you know, so you know, boots are very hard to break in. You tend to break in your feet more than you break in the shoes, meaning you might end up with blisters. And if you ever get a warm, hot spot, stop right away and put a Band-Aid on it. It's really important that you do that. Otherwise, it's going to turn into a big blister, and you know, you're not going to want to hike after that.
Yeah, so day packs. Getting started, you can pull a backpack out of your, you know, garage, wherever it is. But as you continue on in your journey, you're definitely going to want to have a pack that has, for me, I really like having a pack that has a space for my water. I like, we'll show you some hydration options in the next slide, but I like using a reservoir. So I like having a section for my reservoir, and then having enough space to have my lunch, pack all of my 10 essentials, pack my jacket, and, you know, sometimes I bring a camera, different things like that. So I might, you know, usually I go with something like this REI flash pack, which is really inexpensive. It's kind of like their starter pack. And then depending on what I'm doing, there have been times where, you know, I've done a little things that are a little more technical. I need more space. I may go with this bigger Trail 40 pack, which, you know, will carry a lot more stuff and can carry things like if I need a helmet and things like that. Or if you need to carry things like snow gear or things of that sort in your journey. So
yeah, I really wouldn't recommend. I try to go as light as possible, because all that extra weight is going to you know, put more weight on your feet, which would create more blisters. So I wouldn't recommend anything more than a Trail 40 or anything more than 30 pounds in your backpack. So please try to keep it lightweight, and until you're further advanced on that.
So these are the other essentials I was talking about. These are just extras you may want to think about. Absolutely will need to have water. So think about what you want to carry it in, and recognize that maybe one of you may like the reservoir system and maybe you won't like the reservoir system. But the most important thing when it comes to your water is to always bring at least 1 liter for every 3 miles, or it depends too on the weather. So the hotter it is, the more water you're going to need to bring. But you should absolutely make sure that you're drinking often, and you pre-hydrate and post-hydrate, okay? So just make sure that these types of exercises, doing that, hydrating before, will ensure that you hopefully don't get headaches, don't get dehydrated and things of that sort. And then you can also bring electrolytes with you. So sometimes, like, I like carrying Vitalite. It's this powder form. I get it at REI, and I'll bring a Nalgene with that electrolyte, so that along the trail, if I'm feeling dehydrated, I can be drinking that, and it replenishes the salt that you are actually, that's evaporating as you're going. But that's going to actually be the stuff you may think about more and more as you continue in your journey. Just some side notes. Now, trekking poles, I don't feel they are an absolute essential right away. But if you have them, they're great. They help with balance and stability, helping to save your knees. And really also with your posture, because it helps kind of keep you at like straight as you're walking. You know, you don't want to be hunched over and things of that sort. And for me, there's been many times where I'm a little clumsy. So I've had a few moments where I might almost fall, but the poles kind of allow me to kind of catch myself. So for that reason, I really enjoy having poles. And I just feel like they definitely help me to just be stable as I'm hiking along. Obviously, if you can, we always recommend having some sort of a GPS device, like a Spot device or a Garmin device, especially if you ever plan on going on your own or going in the backcountry where there is no cell phone reception. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this as we continue on. But these are just some items to consider.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I mean, I actually really like my trail poles. I love them. And, you know, they could be used for other things. I mean, I suppose if you really needed to or wanted to, you know, you could use them as like a little self-defense weapon. But really, there isn't too much stuff to be too worried about. But for some people, I know that getting outdoors is a bit scary at first. So, but anyway, I really like them for supporting my knees and helping my feet. It really helps me go uphill a lot faster. Okay.
So some general hiking tips that we're going to go over include things like when you're first starting out, you definitely want to stay on established trails. So there's certain hiking that is more in the back country, meaning you don't have reception. You usually need to get permits. It's further away from civilization, and that's great. But when we're first getting started, we always want to recommend that you stick to maybe your local parks, state parks, things that are pretty well established, and you can easily go to a ranger and grab a map, or you can buy a map. A lot of these trails are also available on some of the apps that we're going to talk about, but you know, it's less of a risk that you're going to get lost and find yourself in a really uncomfortable situation. That's actually what I know has stopped a lot of people from hiking, is this feeling of like, what if I get lost? So one of the things you can do right off the bat is stick to established trails. I know finding trails has been one of the top things we've heard in our interviews that we've had people fill out forms and things. We were reading them recently, and it was saying, a lot of people were saying finding local trails is my biggest frustration when it comes to hiking. And so, you know, ask people, ask your friends, go to your local, for example, REI or retailer to find out, outdoor retailer to find out if they have recommendations. You can look for books, go look up blogs. And then of course, some of the apps we're going to discuss in a little bit have trails that are actually so close to you that sometimes you don't even know if you don't take that chance to look. So that's really, really important. Another thing is, as you're getting comfortable in the outdoors, like if you don't feel good about something, trust yourself. Like the mountains, the trails will always be there. But one of the most important things that I think being out in nature does is it really brings us back to our own intuition. And usually our intuition is right. So, you know, make sure you pay attention to your surroundings, and, you know, which goes into like bringing friends. Go with other people in the beginning, especially because, you know, it is, and it can be intimidating when you haven't been hiking for a long time. So definitely recommend that you bring family and friends on your journey, which, you know, flows into telling someone where you're going, right? So we've actually created, there's, I believe under one of our resources, I don't know what it is right off the top of my head right now, but I think it's under tracking your hikes, possibly on our website. You can download a little document that Misha actually helped us to create, and it basically is a little document you can print, and then you can cut out and leave a paper at home to say, hey, I'm gonna go hiking, I'm supposed to be back at this time, here's where I'm going, here's what time to expect me back, here's what I'm wearing. And also, as you keep hiking along and you do things in the backcountry, they highly recommend leaving a document like that under your car seat in case of an emergency. So that's something you can find on our website. And like I said earlier, you know, having that personal locator beacon is really, really great if you can invest in something like that. So one of the things that we are going to quickly touch on is planning. I think planning and research is always like the biggest, maybe like block to getting to your hike, because a lot of times, especially as you're getting started, you may not know where to go. So one of the easiest ways that I found that I've been able to get out is by using the All Trails app. So if you don't have that, please look it up. And there's a free version, and then there's the premium version, which is paid. I believe it's like $29.99.
Yeah. So the premium version is one where you can download the maps. Again, all this requires you to do this planning before, because you can't download them when you don't have cell phone reception.
Yeah.
So make sure that you do this before. I recommend that you actually, and by the way, just so you know, it still takes us time. We've been doing this for years, and I specifically have been doing this for over 20 years, and it still takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours for me to plan the hikes. And that's just because I want to look around and see where do I want to go? Do I want to go see waterfalls, or do I want to go to summits? And how do I get there? And are the roads open or something like that? I mean, there's a good amount of reading and looking into, preferences and kind of deciding on your hike. It's not something that you just wake up and think you're just going to go hiking, because you're just going to be overwhelmed with so much, like, where do I go? And so I would recommend that you do that on like a Monday night, and then maybe Tuesday you invite your friends, and they'll definitely appreciate you inviting them, because they don't have to do all the planning. And then and then pack your bag by Wednesday or Thursday, and hit the trails on the weekend. So I think that that's a really good, you'll really set yourself up a lot for success. If you try to do it last minute, it's no one, you won't have anybody to go with, or yeah, it's just, you just want to set yourself up so that you're having a great time.
Yeah, and definitely remember also, when you're doing that planning, like the week prior to the hike, or let's say it's Monday and you want to go for your hike on Saturday or Sunday, that this gives you enough time to prepare your items that you need. I remember when I first started hiking, I would go to REI to get my snacks, like for every couple hikes, and it was like my exciting thing I would do for the week. So yeah, again, and another quick note is, weather. Before you go, check the weather like the night before, a couple days before, because if there are conditions that are dangerous, it's just not worth it. Obviously, light rain, no problem, put your rain jacket on, have fun. But also recognize that some trails may or may not be open depending on the weather. In Southern California, there are trails in Orange County that close down when it rains. So these are all things that, as you're doing your planning, as you're researching where you're going, you'll need to look into, in addition to if you need permits and things of that sort.
I want to also add one last part here. Be very careful about snow travel. And so I know that it's kind of the winter time, and there's even places now that are getting snow that normally don't get snow. And, just be very careful about that. If you do go on the snow, I mean, try to get some sort of micro spikes or some traction device, but nothing really kind of steep. If you were going up a mountain, for example, I would really recommend crampons, but that is way overkill for hiking 101. And you really shouldn't be doing something like that, because slipping and falling could be very deadly. And we don't want anybody to hurt themselves. We want everyone to have fun. And, as you get more and more acquainted with your gear and your skills, then you can move on to take classes. And for example, I took a class on winter mountain travel. And so you could definitely take more classes on that.
Yeah, which leads into the next thing that we're going to recommend. You're doing the great thing right now in the first step of actually showing up here and learning more. And I know the questions is the part where I love interacting, because there's so many great questions, and a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I wanted to know that. So actually investing in yourself, like right now you're investing in yourself and taking classes, whether it's, wilderness first aid, or it's, a map and compass class, which I'm going to also highly recommend that you do. This is all stuff that is going to help you, and it could save your life. And so we always want to drill in, like, educate yourself as much as possible. Don't be the person that just goes out there and then says, oh man, I wish I would have, so if you're committing to this, keep learning.
So here's our small disclaimer. Of course, talk to your doctor. We really don't know the condition of everyone here who's on this call. And so, we just want to make sure that you're safe. We're big advocates of getting you out there safely and helping you, because it's just so amazing to embark on such a journey and to make the outdoors your lifestyle. So go for walks in your local neighborhood. Start out slow. It's okay. My first goal when I was overweight was to do like 3 miles. I mean, that was kind of a lot. And whenever we did some local beginner hikes, 6 miles with like less than 1,000 feet of gain was a really big workout for most people. So it's okay to go slow. Just know if you keep going and you keep doing this week after week and month after month, and sooner or later, you're going to notice that you're getting faster and you're stronger. So we also recommend practice or break in your hiking boots and shoes. Don't just do it the night, or I should say the day of, especially if you're trying to do like, 10 miles, really not a good idea. You're most likely going to find out that you have blisters and stuff like that. You can do some other exercises that strengthen your muscles. For example, I would do like some stairs, and I also did some cycling as well. Even long time ago when I was losing weight, I did the stationary bike, and that helped. But anyway, just start out slow and increase your mileage slowly. Even if you were to so-called run a marathon, anybody could actually run a marathon. It's a 26-week process where you're actually only increasing like 1 mile every week. And I would say very similarly here, probably increase your mileage by about 1 mile per week, and you'll be astounded by the results in a year from now.
So really, really quickly, if you're new to hiking, if you're a long-term lover of the outdoors, whatever you do, please, we want to highly encourage you to learn about Leave No Trace. So real quick, Leave No Trace is an organization that has actually created these 7 different tools or rules to being an outdoor enthusiast, but then doing it safely and also responsibly. And so one of the things that I want to share with you guys is if you go to their website, they have a free Leave No Trace. It's like a little workshop you can do, and you get a certificate saying like, hey, you went through this program. And so you learn, you read, and then you take a little test. So we highly want to encourage you to share the Leave No Trace principles with your family, with your friends, anyone you know, because I think that as many more people are getting outdoors, we're seeing a lot more trash being left behind, and it's just a lack of education, right? And so what we want to encourage people to do is educate rather than shame, because shaming other people doesn't make them feel good, and it probably won't lead into anything good, but educating will. So whenever you can, remind people you know how to hike ethically and responsibly. So what are the things? Again, planning ahead and preparing, which we've talked about. Making sure to travel on durable surfaces, and that means staying on trail, not basically like going off trail and creating paths or going up what's called social paths, which if you ever go to a state park, you're going to see maps that are drawn, and if you see trails that are not on that park map, that means it's a social trail. So please don't go on that trail, and please don't cut trails, especially when it comes to what are they called when we have the trails that go up? Switchbacks, sorry. So yeah, try not to cut because it causes erosion. You want to add something?
Sure. So the next one is, of course, dispose of waste properly, and that includes, like for example, doggy bags. And I know it's very tempting to want to leave your doggy bag and say that you're going to pick it up, and then we always see people forget, and that's goes against Leave No Trace, and of course it makes the place look pretty trashy. It takes about 1,000 years for a plastic bag to biodegrade. Along with that, even orange peels and things that do degrade much faster. You know, like if you do that or someone does that, you know, what happens? What does it look like the next day? What does it look like in 2 days? And if everyone starts doing that, what does it look like? It starts looking like a trash dump. So, you know, we want to encourage you, even though that there might be some items that, you know, are quite easily, you know, biodegradable. We just don't want to do that. Not only for the trash, but then, you know, it creates, you know, for example, brings in invasive species and other things like that. So these rules were created not just, you know, so that we can be hiking snobs, but, you know, but so that we can protect the trails and the animals, and also be responsible and helping other people to enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah, with that, you know, please try to, you know, do what you can to not take anything or leave even those little, what they call Karens or ducks. All of that is considered basically against the leave no trace principle. So just leave it how you found it, take pictures, leave only footprints. And then again, like we talked about earlier, right? Like do not, we just say don't start a fire, ideally, because we don't want to be responsible for a forest fire, right? So if not needed, just don't go there. And then obviously respect wildlife. Like some of the, you know, whenever you watch the news and you hear something in Yosemite or Yellowstone, actually it's usually Yellowstone. Why is it that, you know, there was an animal attack or something? It's usually because people were too close to the animals. So give animals their space. Usually one of the top questions we get is around fear around snakes and bears and things like that. And we will probably see a question about that. But honestly, I've seen bears, I've seen snakes. We've seen tons of snakes. Most of the time you just kind of have to hang out a little bit, give it its space, and then it will go away. So just do your best to, you know, respect wildlife.
Yeah, they're more afraid of us actually. So I know that a lot of people are scared of animals, but they really don't want to be. They don't want to be. They're afraid of us. They don't want to mess with us. And of course, be considerate of other visitors. We tend to find there are some people that will play music and you know, loudspeakers or something like that. And while it may seem fun in your own personal group, you know, that actually goes against kind of the rules here. And you know, some people may not like that music. You know, it just some people actually, a lot of people go out in nature for peace and quiet, and so that kind of goes against that as well.
I want to add one last thing before we move on. If you guys can write down recreateresponsibly.org. We're in the coalition for that as well. And obviously we're in COVID times. So they have a lot more resources for hiking during COVID times, making sure you're following your local rules and regulations. And then, you know, being inclusive of others, there's a lot more very similar to Leave No Trace, but check that out, recreateresponsibly.org. All right, so one of the top things we asked people in the community what they wanted to learn about, and one of the top things that came up was, how do I go solo? So I just left this real quick. I want to just briefly touch on that. So if you don't have someone to go hiking with, and if you really want alone time, again, the safest things you can do is stick to parks that are local to you, stick to state parks, county and city parks that are well maintained, that have rangers on staff while you're there. Do everything in your power to be a safe hiker. Let someone know where you're going, what time to expect you back. You know, carry a GPS device if possible, or make sure you have reception where you're going. You can call the ranger station ahead. These are all little things you can do, but we want to actually encourage you not to go alone until you've been hiking for some time and you're starting to feel really comfortable with yourself, your skills, and also with just your experience. So those are our quick notes on going solo. And now,
well, actually, we have a lot of things here on our website, and we're going to actually navigate through it a little bit. and show you, so that way, because we saw these concerns that people had, and we want to be great to, out there to help you in your journey. So if you haven't been to our website yet, it's 52hikechallenge.com. And, you can choose your challenge. Again, for those people who are not familiar with the different challenges, we actually have 6 of them now. The original one is by far the most popular, and that's getting outdoors. I won't go through all of them. I'll let you go on our website and pick, your challenge. But we do have some really cool stuff on there. And we really wanted to help you stay motivated and, of course, recognize and I should say commemorate, your accomplishment on the 52 Hike Challenge. So, over the course of a couple of years that we've been doing this, we slowly started adding merchandise items like patches and stickers and medals. And we actually have this as part of our sign up. So, I mean, think of it just like you're doing like a marathon, or you're doing some sort of other activity where you're paying to go to an event. This is a virtual challenge, but just like you're going to like an event, you would normally get, some sort of finisher medal at the back end. And I always find that that's a little bit more motivating. I've done a couple marathons in my life now, and for me, I always felt like it was the finisher medal that really made me stick to it. And so with that, I said, well, hey, we should have a hiking medal to, to help people stay committed. And anyway, you can see that we've really got creative, and we've made some beautiful medals, and we've made a lot of people very happy who have purchased those items. We also have a journal in there, so that way you can log your hikes, and you can reflect on your hikes.
Yeah, I mean, we have some annual items that are limited edition. So one of the biggest complaints we got last year was, that we were sold out. So we actually really highly encourage, we're still a small business, and we highly encourage you to get your limited edition stuff before it sells out. But I think one of the other things is, if you just scroll down, you will find that there's a free sign up for some people that have had comments around that. So you can go into the challenge, check out if you're interested or not. Otherwise, you can sign up for free, and we give you a ton of resources.
Yeah. And on that note, a lot of our merchandise is per year. So for example, if you're doing it now in 2021, you want to go ahead and buy the medal for 2021. And even if you finish in, say, January or February of 2022. And the reason for that is because we actually buy all of our merchandise now, and we don't want to have the inventory for 2021 and in November with the hopes that someone's going to buy it, and if they don't, then we get stuck with it. So we actually buy all of our stuff up front, and we encourage you to buy all your stuff up front too. Because we usually don't place those orders or make those limited edition things towards the end of the year. We actually make it at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys who have actually helped us. We have a small team here, and we're really thankful to get to do this work. So we appreciate your support. With that, we want to let you guys know that we have created a ton of free resources. So you can sign up for free, you can support us, and either way, you're going to get these free support tools. So that includes like a guide to the challenge, what we recommend for taking the 52 Hike Challenge, frequently asked questions, how to tell your friends about that you're doing the challenge, which really helps with accountability, and we're going to talk a little bit more about reflecting to keep you motivated. We actually have a couple of journaling prompts that you can download, and we want you to think about what you hope to gain when you're in the middle of your challenge, where you are, and then we want you to reflect back on everything you've accomplished. So I highly recommend you check that out. We have information that we talked about today on how to find trails, how to find local groups. And by the way, we do have official 52 Hike Challenge chapters. There are quite a few groups that are inspired by the 52 Hike Challenge, but are not official 52 Hike Challenge groups. So we are slowly but surely adding chapters, If you have completed the 52 hike challenge and are interested in helping us to run a chapter, please apply, as we will be looking into adding new groups every quarter from now on. In the past, we were only doing it yearly, but we realized that there is really a need for these local chapters where people go in onto Facebook and post their pictures and where they're at in the journey. It's really encouraging and inspiring to see. So check that out. And then we have more about conditions, some of our recommendations, the 10 essentials, and more. So these are some of the items we just kind of quickly want to show you. For example, this is the guide. This is the hiking login tracker. And
oh yeah, we have something new too. So for those of you who are tracking your hikes, we want to encourage you. Again, we really want to allow you to have this amazing transformative experience by getting outdoors. And so we actually have under this tracking page, if you like, for example, on the bottom left here, when you complete like hikes 1 through 10, or once you get to hike 10, you can go ahead and do this, and you can download like this badge. It's a digital badge. It says that you've completed hike number 10. And I don't know if we should spill the beans about it, but
well, there's perks. Let's just say there's perks.
We have some really cool, for some perks. Let's just kind of leave it at that. I'll let you go on our webpage and download it. But yeah, we have some pretty awesome stuff in there. And anyway, so please make sure to look on our page. We really want to help you out here. We also created a page because we know that what it was like to, I remember what it was like to start off and not have any hiking friends and not have anybody who was active. And I was really lost. And so we've now created a whole bunch of resources, including these different groups. For example, you're just seeing some in California. You can scroll down, of course, and see them in different areas. And then, as Carla mentioned, we have different chapters in different areas, so that way you can join their local chapter.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to close out the conversation and open it up for questions. And so just a quick little recap on what we feel are some of the steps to succeeding and getting started in the outdoors. So one of the most important things to actually completing any goal in life is to actually, to set the goal, right? And to have something to work towards. So in this case, the 52 hike challenge could be a great way to inspire you to just start taking those first steps in the outdoors and hiking. For Philip, it was, climbing, I believe, Mount Whitney at the time. And so we just want to really encourage you to set some sort of a goal for yourself. It might be, hey, by the end of the summer, I want to go on a backpacking trip. So that's the best thing you can do, is to set some sort of goal for yourself. And then obviously get the proper gear so that you're successful and you feel good and you have the proper equipment needed to really help you on your journey.
Yeah, so definitely, get acquainted with our page and find some local groups. I have to say that I've made some of my best friends through hiking, and these are friends that I now hang out with more. And I don't have my foodie friends as much. I still, of course, respect them. But I'm always hanging out with my hiking buddies, and we're always going out and making new adventures. And it's really cool to find, outdoorsy people like to do other outdoorsy things, like, kayaking or, rock climbing or scuba diving. And anyway, it's really neat. And so I believe that we've created a lot of resources to help you make those new friends and those lifelong friends. Along with that, I felt that groups will help you stay accountable much more than individuals, because if you're just going with one person and that person happens to, have something come up, And it's very easy for you to say, well, I guess I don't really need to go hiking today. And then you start falling back on your goals. And pretty soon you start slipping and you're no longer hiking anymore. And so it's much easier to go with lots of people, and of course create lots of friends. And part of the accountability is to then go ahead and mention to all your friends that you're doing this 52 hike challenge. We have heard so many other people say that they completed their challenge because they announced it on social media, and then their friend said, well, hey, I want to go hiking this weekend. You're going hiking, right? And they'd say, yeah, I am. And so, it will help you. I mean, really, to be honest, I haven't met too many people that have said after a hike that they regretted it. And it's one of those things where you just kind of have to. It's one of those things where you kind of feel like sleeping in is much more fun, and going out and partying seems much more fun. But you're going to be so much happier in your life when you're actually completing your goals and you're doing something that's helping you, both mentally, physically, spiritually, all that stuff. So with that, we say go ahead and post about your hikes on social media. So encourage your friends. We actually have so many people from the first year that we did it, bringing in their friends into year 2 and 3 and 4. We actually have grown so much by friends who have been inspired by other people just like you. And I say that because, there's so many of us, we feel like, oh, I'm not a hiker, I'm stumbling through. But the very fact that you're getting out there and you're trying means you're an inspiration for other people. And I don't care, when I was overweight, I used to think people were probably laughing at me. And I can tell you now, when someone is overweight and trying out there, that's an inspiration. A lot of people look at that person and say, wow, if they can do it, I can do it. And so lean into that and actually recognize that you're actually doing something really positive for yourself and others. So go ahead and post on social media, Facebook and Instagram. We actually kind of created a bit of a community under our hashtag 52 hike challenge, and 52 hike challenge, like, we put year, so that would include 2021 now. But you can actually see some of the previous years where these people, many people have actually contributed photos and kind of created a community and gotten to know each other even through that hashtag. So it's really cool to be part of this thing where not only you're changing your life, but a lot of people are changing their lives. And we're just so honored to really be bringing that and facilitating that. So don't be afraid to push your limits. And what we really mean by that is your mental limits. That doesn't mean do something crazy and go up something really steep and dangerous. No, that's not what we're saying here. We're saying, there's going to be times where you feel like you can't do it, and or it's too hard, and we want you to challenge yourself, and we want to encourage you, and we want you to know that other people are also in the same boat as you, and are all trying to achieve this great challenge, this of going out hiking 52 times in a year. Of course, my recommendation is you can definitely do this more than once a week. So, that way you can kind of so-called plan for those days where you might have a birthday party to go to, or someone's event or something comes up, because we all know that life happens. But I'd recommend that you get out hike more often than not. I think you're going to be much happier with yourself when you do. And of course, celebrate. You've accomplished a goal. You set something up, a long-term vision, and you've broken it down into small steps, and you've sacrificed time. And really getting out there is something that you should acknowledge yourself for and reward yourself for. So definitely do that. And then we say pay it forward. because that's kind of what we're doing. You know, we feel so honored to be doing this work, and we love, you know, the outdoors, and we love helping people, and I would love to have all of you enjoy that kind of joy that we've also had as well.
So with that, it's now your turn. It's your turn to really achieve your own personal goals, to push yourself to these limits and really show yourself what you're made of, and what really is important in life. And I think the outdoors really shows us what matters in life, and it puts everything into perspective. So with that, we're going to open up our conversation into your questions. And so please, we both have Facebook and our Zoom call. So if you have questions based off of what we talked about, or any other questions you want to have us, you know, respond to, please add it to the chat box now, and we will start picking out some questions.
Do we want to have people unmute themselves too? Okay. Oh yeah. So Misha's been Misha's on our team, been helping us out a lot, and we're very grateful for her. So yes, definitely recommend putting your phone on airplane mode and preserving your battery. You know, especially when using like all trails or something of that sort. Let's see.
So this conversation, let me start off with some items I'm seeing, and if you've seen me looking down, it's because I'm kind of managing both. So yes, we will add this video to YouTube. So if you didn't catch something, you could go back and watch it again, or you can send it to a friend. We would love to have more people being safe out there. So feel free to recommend this video to someone. We'll also mention it in the next newsletter. So keep an eye out for that. And
let's see, I'm actually kind of going at the bottom right now. What product do you take with your water? I personally take Gatorade. I know Carla likes another one.
Yeah, I like using, sometimes I use the Noon tabs. You can get them at, you know, even at the grocery store now. I like Vitalite. It's in a powder form, and I absolutely love the grape flavor. And then I think there's a couple other ones, but those are some basic ones. You can also take the salt tablets.
Yeah. I really like, and then of course I'm actually kind of going backwards up, but I really like Camelback. I personally love having, it's called a water hydration system or water reservoir. You know, the little tube comes out on the side, and you can just bite the valve and suck the water. It's like a little straw. So much easier than having to take off your backpack or fumble around and open up your water bottle. I find that if we have a water bottle, then we actually sometimes feel a little lazy about it, and we don't do it. And whereas the Camelback and the little straw right there, I just take a small sip every once in a while, just keep my mouth wet, and it's great.
I want to add a note. Kim Pierce sent a message through Facebook, and she wanted to remind us that REI does have garage sales, which you can get great items at a decent price. So just for people who are looking to save some money, that's also another option. So shout out to Kim for that note. Thank you.
Someone asked about poles. Yeah, I would recommend 2, actually. I feel like it's really good for balance, and I really like that much better than 1. Obviously, you know, if someone forgot their poles and you want to share one, sure, go for it. But I definitely recommend 2, not just 1.
Okay. I'll do another one. So a reminder, someone asked again, how many liters should I bring for how many miles? So at least 1 liter for every 3 miles. Now this is if the temperature is mild. Remember, if you're in the desert somewhere where it's hot, you might need to bring a lot more, 2 liters. Please, please, please bring more water than you think you're gonna need. So super important.
Yeah, I call that training weight, so it's all good. If you do happen to do something longer, which again, I want to say there was a question about water filtration. and I'll mention which ones are my favorite. Actually, it's Sawyer. I really like Sawyer. Sawyer has a lot of great products, and I really like the squeeze. And you know, it's very lightweight. You can just screw it right on top of like a bottle or one of their bags that they have, and you can squeeze it out. It's great. But for the most part, I don't really take a water filter unless I'm doing something really big. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, like if you're doing Mount Whitney and that's 22 miles, 6,000 foot, over 6,000 foot of gain, you would need a lot of water. And that's when I would use a filter. So honestly, I really don't take any more than like 3 liters, you know, for a beginner hike or a small easy hike. But you know, if you want to be safe and take a filter, I would recommend the squeeze. It's fairly lightweight.
If you want to add like a mini, or there's the straws. I forget what their names right now, but you can add that to your emergency kit. But otherwise, I'm also with Phil. I did, like I mentioned earlier, the John Muir Trail, and I actually had the squeeze while my partner had one of the bags, which made it a lot easier to just free flow. But yeah, definitely those are some great options to look at.
Yeah.
And I have another question here. So someone wanted to know, her name's Martha. Martha said, what are the rules when it comes to bears? I hear you should react different to certain bears. So yes, Martha is right. There are different types of bears. There's grizzlies, and then there's our regular brown and black bears here in California. So Misha gave a great comment back and said that she recommends reaching out to the local ranger station to see what they recommend. That is a part of that planning. Knowing what kind of flora and fauna you're going to encounter is so important, and why Tecnu is such a great sponsor this year, because Tecnu is a product you put in case you brush up against some sort of poison oak, sumac, or ivy. And so what is one of the greatest ways to prevent that is to know where you're going to be and to carry that if you're going to be in an area that you may have some brush up against that kind of fauna. So Tecnu, yep.
Okay. So let's see. I think someone was asking about what do we count as a hike, and we say anything more than 1 mile. And we actually lowered it down to 1 mile because we want people to start off with hiking. Again, we created the 52 Hike Challenge to help you change your life. And you know, as you saw the photos of me before, I could barely do a couple miles. I mean, I was dying. So I remember what it was like. And we say 1 mile because once you get out there and you start doing it more often, you're going to do more and more miles. You're going to love doing it. You're going to be becoming a hiking addict, and that's a good addiction to have. It's it's really fun. It's really amazing to go out hiking often. You're going to want to change your life all around it. So let's see. I think someone else was asking about. Let's see. What would be a good GPS offline app to purchase? You could use lots of, there's actually a few of them. There's Gaia, but I also, again, I still like All Trails as one of my favorite ones. The premium version is the one that you have to use offline. I personally, another thing that I use is I have this Garmin watch right here. It's the Phoenix 5X. And the Phoenix 5X has trails embedded inside here. So that particular watch, I don't know which other watches out there have that, but that's one of my favorite ones. It's great. It's on my wrist. I get to look at it, and I can also upload trails to it as well.
GPS.
So I love my Garmin. And anyway.
So same here, you know, what do we recommend for GPS and navigation devices? We have a Spot, and I've also worked with Garmin before. So either one of those are really great ones if you want to invest in something like that.
Yeah. So Donna, I see some of your questions in here about, I think I also saw earlier that you were talking about the 2 different poles, and you know, kind of think of yourself as like a walking animal. or a four-legged animal, I kind of like put my left foot forward and my right pull down, and then same thing, right foot forward, left pull down. And I tend to kind of put them right at, yeah, you can't see too well, but I got it. And so, your arm and you're holding it somewhere about 90 degrees, and then you kind of push back out, back down, and you're able to kind of trek along this way. At first, it feels very awkward. Again, probably all of your gear is going to feel very awkward at first, but as you do it more and more, you're going to feel more comfortable. Again, there's tons of stuff out there on YouTube as well. So just make sure to Google these kinds of things. Let's see. I also saw that you had some questions about like knee issues. I remember at one time I did have some knee issues, and I used like chondroitin and glucosamine. Those are some supplements that I've used in the past. I tend to find that, again, and this is why I also love the hiking poles, because it will really help you from the weight on your knees. And there's a technique where if you're going downhill, you want to lengthen out the pole, and then use them to kind of like slow you down as you're going downhill. And then as you're going uphill, you can shrink them up a little bit. Again, kind of keeping that arm at a 90-degree angle. So, yeah, 11th essential, trash bag. Sure, absolutely, we love that.
Yeah.
Our adventure series, we actually talk about doing some trail cleanup, because to be quite honest, we're getting thousands of people out there on the trails, and we recognize our impact, and we want you to also be great stewards of the trail, and we would love for you to give back, and just to show your appreciation by helping clean up some things as well. Okay.
So someone wanted to know, Janet Starr from Texas. She talked about they had this cold snap here in Texas, and she was unable to get out for her hike, and she wanted to know, can she double up in a week? And obviously yes, you can do multiple hikes in a week. If you have to make up a hike. That's why you have 52 weeks. We made this challenge accessible. So, if you can't go week 1, you go week 2, you go twice. If you need to go 3 times that week, go for it. The more you can get out, it's actually better for your own health and to prevent injuries, to be out more often than possible. We just want to encourage you to get that exercise going. So yes, absolutely. The only thing that we initially set was only 1 hike per day, because imagine if we said, yeah, you can count all those 1 mile small hikes that are like 1 mile here, 1 mile there. I mean, it wouldn't be really fair. Someone would finish too quickly.
Yeah, so we kind of, for this challenge, we said 52 times, or I should say 52 days is the fastest you can finish. And so if you really wanted to be gung-ho and go out hiking every single day, you can do it in 52 days. And there's actually a lot more to that. When you're talking about creating new habits, statistics show that if you go out and you do something for like 60, 62, or 63 days, or 60 times, that's where you actually start creating more of a habit for yourself. And so we really wanted to create this hiking challenge to help you change your life, just like we did. But we were also a little bit intentional, and besides just having 52 weeks in a year, if you really want to so-called get into the habit of hiking, you should go more often. And I think that it's just we see so many more people finish it instead of just once a week. So try to go more often and get out there. You're gonna love it.
So April Miles requested to know what brand of hiking poles we recommend for all ages. So I've actually used Lakey and Black Diamond poles, and I really love Black Diamond. They have really great, these really small convertible poles that I love. They're these really lightweight poles that I had for many years. I took on the John Muir Trail. I think if you go with something that's adjustable, obviously that's that's something I would highly recommend. But I personally think we both really love Black Diamond. So,
Yeah, great comments. Love everyone's engagement here.
oh, you should talk a little bit about Sierra Club real quick. I mean, just
sure. For those of you who are in the Southern California area, there's a great course called the Wilderness Travel Course, WTC. And the WTC is something where, well, I should mention to you, I've been a leader in the Sierra Club WTC, and as an instructor there, and also someone who just is a big advocate of it. There are 4 main things that there's 10 classes, and they're classroom classes, and not going on during COVID. But the 4 main things that we do is we do a conditioning hike. We take 4 main outings. The second outing is map and compass. We go out to Joshua Tree and we show people how to use a map and compass, and we kind of we walk along and just make sure that people know how to use it. And there's lots of really neat stuff in there. Then it's a snow travel class where you're actually using snow shoes and you're getting out onto the snow. And for those of you who don't know about snowshoes, if you're ever in snow, you can what's called post hole, and your foot goes and your leg goes all the way down, and you're kind of up to your waist in snow. But snowshoes will help you. They create a lot more flotation, so that way you don't sink as much. They won't keep you always on the surface, but they'll keep you from going all the way down. And then the 4th class and the 4th outing that we do is where we get people outdoors and do winter camping, and it's really cool. So fun, but it's a really cool thing to do, and we find a lot of people just love it. And again, we know that the gear is kind of expensive, but once you commit to making the outdoors your lifestyle and your new thing, it's actually a lot cheaper than most other things. I mean, I'm sure if you go out to eat and go to fancy restaurants or maybe go out drinking, I mean, you can easily spend $100 or a couple $100 in something like that. And whereas you can buy a jacket that's going to save your life for like $100, $150, and it's going to be with you for 10 years. So, I mean, it's just a wiser investment, in my opinion. I know that, again, I know up front, and I buy stuff or when I was starting out, I bought stuff in over time. And that way it kind of gave me something excited to try out. So I could go try out my new mitts, and I can go hiking, and it was my perfect excuse to go outdoors. And so I would recommend that you definitely buy stuff in kind of a staged effort.
So there's a question, it's more backpacking related by Shannon King, but I'll respond back to Shannon. She said, do we have a recommendation for a lightweight backpack for through hiking? I used a Gregory pack, and it was the Jade, I think it was the 60, but it was good. I really liked it, and it was actually different because instead of packing up high, it was packing out, horizontally. And so I really liked that. But one of the things that I wanted to mention is my friend used the Hyperlight mountain gear pack that is super lightweight. And I mean, I wish I would have had that pack sometimes, because let me tell you, any little extra ounce on a through hike, you will want to remove whatever you can. So that is one recommendation that I know she really loved, and I definitely was eyeing her pack with a little jealous eye some of the nights.
So someone asked about a feminine product to go to the bathroom. So Carla, maybe you might want to talk about that.
Yeah, so yes, there are products out there that you can use. I own a couple. personally, I haven't really been compelled to use them. So there's tons of different apparatuses, I want to say, like you could pee like a guy, you put this thing down there, and but honestly, what I do is I love packing. I have what I call a duty sack, and I put toilet paper in there, a trash bag, usually a Ziploc bag for my trash. Sometimes I've had on backpacking trips, I'll bring wipes, definitely a trowel. I love the Deuce. It's super lightweight titanium. It's a small trowel. And yeah, I mean, basically I just dig, you dig a hole. It's got to be, I think it's a 7 or 6 inches. The trowels usually tell you, sorry, I don't have it right off the top of my head, but dig your hole and go. And, just make sure not to leave your toilet paper behind. Please, please, please. Lately on the trails, the last time we were in California, because we're currently not there at the moment, there was tons of toilet paper out there. So please pack it out. Please have that little package ready to go for when wild calls, and don't be afraid to go outside. I think we were kind of joking the other day about creating a sticker that said something like, "Yay, I peed outdoors," or something, because I think some of us are so afraid of going potty that it's like one of the biggest fears. Like I remember the first time I knew I had to go outdoors, and I was like, "What do you mean I'm not going to shower for a day? What do you mean I have to go outside?" It was extremely overwhelming, but you get comfortable and you figure it out, and it's so natural. So anyways.
So I'd actually like to kind of open it up for a little bit of a different kind of question. I know we've been talking about gear and hiking and everything, but I'd like to find out, feel free to type it into the chat window. How else can we help you? We really want to help people stick to this goal of hiking 52 times. And, what kind of things would be very helpful? We've tried, different things in terms of, providing merchandise and, tracking logs and journals. Is there anything else? We actually kind of thought about, like a coaching program and like a weekly session where you can jump on and maybe talk about some of the issues that you might be going through, or some tips or suggestions, because I know, we all, it sounds all great and fun, just sitting here for about an hour, but and then when it's time to pack and we go, oh no, or we go out for those first couple of hikes and we say, oh my gosh, what about this and what about that? So yeah, it's definitely something that we really want to help facilitate, because we really want you to succeed, and we really believe that a life outdoors is a better life lived. So would love to hear all those suggestions and feedback about that.
Well, definitely, I see some of the comments here, and I think motivation when getting frustrated. Listen, in this life, right, things are going to happen. And of course, we're going to face obstacles, especially when we're trying to change our lives, because we have been programmed, whatever we've been doing, it's literally neurologically programmed within us. And so when we're changing, our mind will do everything in its power to stop us from achieving that goal or from achieving that change. And that's why it's going to feel like it gets worse before it gets better. So to just recognize that as you're progressing, you may feel like you're falling backwards, and it is very normal to resist change. It is very normal to feel like, I don't want to go outdoors. I know Philip talked about when he was first starting to change his life, he would leave his shoes at the front door to remind him, like, I've committed to getting outside. So, I think that is something that people really do need help with, is that motivation of how do I continue going when I'm feeling frustrated. And you're not alone. We all face moments of frustration, and we all fall down. And it's just a very normal part of transition and transformation. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and same thing, just like Carla said, I also had that hiking log up front, and I believe in paper and pencil, because, you know, it's so easy with about, you know, tons of apps that we have on our phones to have it buried. And I would see that on there, and it would remind me, you know, when I would open up my door and I'd look at it, and it would say, you know, I'd see some blanks in some of the dates, and I'd say, uh-oh, I haven't been hiking, or I haven't been going out exercising, and it's kind of like, I think it's been too long, I need to go outdoors. And so that same kind of sheet is what we actually provide. And again, I know it's always more fun to sleep in, trust me, I still feel that way. Anyhow. Destination challenges for each state. That'd be fun. I would love to do that. And having kids go out with you is really great. We've actually had a really cool story shared with us that someone who did our 52 hike challenge when we first started it and took their daughter out. Now found that their daughter loves hiking and inspired them to you know, continue hiking. And so I love that story. And I think that that's something that we should do. We should definitely take our kids out. It's a lot cheaper than Disneyland, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, definitely. Someone actually talked about having group hikes, and so we want to let you know that we used to actually ourselves lead hikes in California, and then when we traveled, we've led hikes. But this last year, we finally got to a place where we have chapter leaders, and I've seen some of them on the call today, Gordon and Wendy, and you know, even Misha has led hikes. And so we're really grateful to those leaders that run those community chapter pages. But with COVID, we had to completely like take a major step backwards when it came to growing the groups and to really have that space where you can meet other hikers. So God willing, once COVID is crystal clear, done, and no longer a worry, or we've kind of come to some sort of place where we can continue to provide that again, we absolutely, you will see those events again in each chapter. So we're really looking forward to that again, and I'm sure you guys will love that. Yeah. So definitely having mentors is super important, and please reach out to your local chapter group leaders. They might have, they've actually gone through the 52 hike challenge. One of the things we require is that they've done the challenge, and they will have tons of hikes that they've done in your local area. So you could reach out to your local leader and say, hey, I would like to know what hikes you recommend that are between 3 and 6 miles. And I'm sure there are a plethora of information, because as you know, we don't live in each of those locations, so it would be really hard for us to tell you that. And so we thank you guys who support those efforts.
Hillary, I saw that you actually have a couple questions, and yeah, so regarding the bear spray, check your area. I would say down in California, I never actually used bear spray, but once we went up to, where was it? Was it Montana?
Yeah.
Or Wyoming?
Oh, yeah, Wyoming.
But yeah, we did buy bear spray for that area. And so again, I don't want to kind of say you don't need it, but you know, it depends on your area. And the whole point is that you never have to use it. So, but yeah, it's something that certain areas you should have it. And again, these are all just in case types of things. It's very rare that these things, these incidents actually happen. And anyway, so your other question about having a more advanced course than this, yeah, we would love to have that. We just find that a lot of people who are doing the 52 hike challenge are, you know, starting out, and so we want to be able to provide all those helpful tips and resources for those people starting out, because we know starting out is very scary. And so yes, I think that's a great one. I think that we will do that in the future.
And just so you guys know, we're going to announce it here. We actually have 9 more live events we're going to be doing this year. So keep an eye out on the newsletter for those events, and we are going to be putting on some really, really great topics that we've already kind of brainstormed with the team. And so yeah, don't be surprised if we have a little bit of a more advanced hiking 102 class in the future as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for all the positive remarks. Wonderful job, Donna. Amazing. And keep going. And, definitely, of course, be safe out there. And thank you, Cookie Lee. Amazing. Thank you. Really appreciate this. It's really something that we love to do. We love to help. I just think of all the people that we're helping get outdoors and change their lives. It's just, to me, it's just the most rewarding thing. And, we just want to keep doing it. So that's what kind of like why we created a little business around it. And we sell our merchandise. It's, so that way we can do this full time. That's our hope and goal is so that way we're always doing this. And we want to be doing this when we're old. So, I've already made the commitment that I'm hiking for the rest of my life. So why not?
So was there one last question, or was that the main one?
I think we covered them all.
Yeah.
Let's definitely definitely sign up on 52hikechallenge.com. You can always email us at hello@52hikechallenge.com. And especially for those people that are wanting to go further and do something more advanced. Again, we're always looking to roll out new things, and we want to, really help people. And we'd love to do something even more advanced too. So, I think that's just a growth in our community and those people who have taken the 52 Hike Challenge in previous years. So, we definitely want to help every one of you achieve your goals.
Yeah, and thank you, Misha, for being a rock star and helping everyone with their questions. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, and everyone who joined, thank you guys for taking your time. We know your time is also, important, and we loved everything we saw. Everyone who was giving their tips and their favorite little, tidbits, we really appreciate that. I saw some really great comments from so many people in the community, and that is the best part about this, is that this is a community and we're here to help each other and support each other, and that is it. Yeah. So thank you guys. So with that, we're going to close it out and let you guys all have a good rest, and we hope to see you again at another event.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the amazing comments. Love it. All right. Take care. See you on the trails.